Okay, so is it? Yeah, it's recording. Here is another example, something you might be able to do. Say this is what he sends you. Okay. That's not right. Okay, yeah, we'll make another MIDI track. So this is what he sends. That's what he sends you. Just to differentiate. So, hold on. Sorry. Yeah, I'm playing games, yo. Bro. Okay. Okay, now, so this is what he sends you, yada yada, same thing, drum rack, that's all his stuff. So say you don't have a drum rack, all you have is this MIDI file, but you don't have a drum rack, you've got no instruments or samples or anything. So what you could do is, so this is his, color that. You could take, let's say, okay, so here's what we could do. Sorry, I'm figuring this out as I go along. So I'm going to fold it. Basically, all folding does to the piano roll is it gets rid of any notes that aren't being played. So, you know, like this B, A flat, or A sharp, they'll just disappear into the fold, and the only notes that'll appear are the ones that have MIDI notes on them. So again, in this example, as you can see, these notes don't have an instrument associated with them versus his, which do. Crash, blah, 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 but yours do not. So what you could do is, because you don't have a drum rack, you know, you don't have something like this in Reaper, apparently. For fuck's sake. Okay. You just have the MIDI files. What you could do is duplicate this a few times. And say there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hit it 9 times. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That doesn't seem right. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever. It's just, it's the idea. I can show you. So here you have one track for each hit, right? So now what you can do is say, again, you'd still need him to tell you what note is playing which instrument, but because you don't have a drum track, you have to go through this individually, and you have to separate everything out like that. So what you could do is, say on this one, he tells you that the C sharp is a kick. So go to your first one, let's label it kick, and we'll open it up, and here's the drum piano roll. Yours will probably look like this. We find the C sharp, there it is, and we'll just delete everything else. And now there's your kick, right? So now all you have to do is load there it is, C sharp, kick. All you have to do is find a sample and just basically load it in there, right? So that's just a random one, and there you go. So every time C sharp plays, a kick is being played. The problem with this is, you know, obviously you have to go through and do each one by hand. It's kind of nice for mixing purposes, because unless you have a, actually you kind of have to have a drum rack, because you can mix individually with the drum rack, you know. I won't get into that. That's complicated. But you can still do it this way. And then I don't know how this works with Reaper, but then you could group all of the tracks, name this group drums, and there you go. You've got your individual, you know, drums, and you would do what you did with the kick for all the other ones. So say, you know, after the kick, let's go up here to the snare. E, first octave, is a snare, right? So we'll go to the next one. MIDI file, we'll find E on the first octave. I'll unfold that because that's what yours should be like. There it is. So we just delete every other note besides that one. And we find a snare. We'll rename that snare, and definitely want to rename them so you know what you're messing with. And let's see, snare. Like, I don't know what you know, each of these things sound like. There we go, we drop the snare sample in, so every time, oh wait, I missed all the notes. You get what I'm saying. Every time you play that note now, you get that drum sound. And this is nice, as opposed to like
Guts the worm.
recreated it or anything, just because everything should still be in time, and everything should match up. If you delete everything except the note that you want, you know, everything should line up perfectly because you just duplicated the original MIDI file. So that would work. You would need, assuming you're using his MIDI files or his samples, you would need his samples. Otherwise, this works fine because you could use your own. So that is the alternative. And that works really well. Obviously, it clogs up a bit more, but you could just put it into one file like that, and, you know, there's the difference. Sometimes I just prefer to do this when I'm mixing. I don't know why. It's just kind of easier to visualize, you know, because I can see just looking down there. There's my kick, there's my snare. I can open each of them up, zoom in a little bit, and I've got kind of some idea what's going on the track, as opposed to this where, you know, here's the MIDI file, but what actually is each note doing? You know, I can't see when I'm just looking at a single MIDI file. Anyway, so that's something else you could do. And yeah, so you might be able to give that a shot.